from Limerick Bowl in Limerick, Pennsylvania, USA Network presents the Professional Bowlers Tour. And tonight, it's the $100,000 Touring Players Championship. These are the 5 finalists. In 5th place is the 3rd leading money winner on the PBA Tour this year. It's the 6th championship round appearance for Tom Milton. The 4th place finisher is one of bowling's best, yet he's still looking for his first win of the year, Mark Roth. Qualifying 3rd is a popular St. Louisan who is looking for his first title, Steve Wonderlick. In 2nd place is Mark Fehee. It's only his 2nd championship round appearance of the year, but last time out, he won the tournament. And the man they'll be shooting at, this week's leader, who last won on USA's very first bowling telecast, looking to snap the string, is Steve Cook. The Touring Players Championship on USA is brought to you in part by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. Buy mobile detergent gasoline for your everyday driving needs. Buy Levi's jeans, cord. The PBA Touring Players Championship shall begin with Mark Roth, the 13-year veteran with 27 PBA titles to his credit, and Tom Milton, the only PBA Tour player this year to have 3 titles to his credit. He is 27 years old. The folks are assembled in Limerick Bowl. We are in Limerick, Pennsylvania, and Game 1 will take place right after the handshake has been completed between Roth and Tom Milton.
And Alan, we're bowling on lanes 19 and 20 here. To set the stage, the lanes are extremely slick. And Milton, most of the players played outside most of the week or right at the second arrow. Milton tried out there in practice, and he's opted to move deeper inside, closer to the 3rd arrow. In practice, he seemed lost. First shot gets it out of the lane. And that's just what his practice balls did. They either skidded down the lane and left the 2-4-5 like that, or they hooked too soon and went right through the nose.
One thing Tom knows, and that is he was not alone in being lost in practice.
5-step players, short backs. When you see the cupped wrist, good follow through, right in balance. You see that cupped wrist as he threw it. That'll be a characteristic of every player on the show today. They're all what we would call the contemporary 1980 type player. Big hook. And just barely makes the spare.
Not a mark for Tom Milton, who had an average this week of 218.7. 2 pins less than that on the average for Mark Roth as he steps onto the approach to bowl in frame 1.
Mark just the opposite of Milton, very herky-jerky style. Made famous in the late 70s. And gets a 2-pin to trip forward. Says thank you. Didn't throw this one real well. It skidded too far down the lane, but 2-pin trip forward. He'll take it.
As we've mentioned already, last time Mark Roth won a PBA title, it was right here at Limerick Bowl last year, but it was not the Touring Players Championship then. This is the first time that they've had an event for just the Touring Players.
And you know who he defeated?
No, I don't remember.
Tom Milton.
Really?
And he's off with a double. Takes an immediate 10-pin lead. See the 6-step approach of Mark. Watch the cupped wrist at the top, way out on the lane. Ball breaks right at the right place. 10 pins in the pit. As they say, that's the way it should be done.
Milton's 3 victories: Showboat Invitational, Greater Hartford Open, and the Denver Open this year.
The right lane, a little high. Leaves the 4-7. What a contrast in deliveries, though. Milton, deliberate, upright, and soft speed. Roth takes no time at all, flies up there, and twirls it out on the lane.
But the cup wrist of Milton is so pronounced. It's very, very obvious as he approaches the line.
It certainly is. We get a shot of it right here. You see he's got that wrist even cupped right in the beginning as he grips the ball, and it never changes all the way through the swing. At the 4-7 cross lane. Both pins with the ball. But Milton continues to be lost. He's high, light. He can't get the ball in the 1-3 pocket.
This is only Tom's 3rd full year on the PBA Tour. What a year he's had, though, really.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic year. I think he has an excellent chance. In fact, I'm really not much doubt in my mind that he's going to go over $100,000 for the year. He needs to make $12,000 more And he's going to get at least 4 here, so he's going to make it over 100,000, I'm certain. Brings it in, and he's back right there. All right, nice shot by Tom. A little more loft that time.
Maybe he solved the left lane. Now he's just got to work on the right.
Well, take it one at a time.
That's right.
Watch, he gets the ball out on the lane a little bit further here, and the break is right there. Nice reaction, nice ball. Roth breaks up the 4-7-10 to leave only the 10 pin. He made the adjustment. He came in light the first frame, and the adjustment was just a little bit, move a little bit right, and the ball went a little bit high. Now, the lanes are not easy out there right now. One of the problems we've had on our telecast lately is the dressing gets carried down the lane, and the lanes actually get tighter for a while, and that's happened here. There's a lot of oil out there, and it's gotten carried way down the lane. Straight at that 10 pin, no hook at all.
Explain dressing and explain tighter.
Dressing is the oil or conditioner that the PBA lane maintenance crew puts on the lane. It's just, it's in a spray gun. They spray it up in this particular sense and spray it on the lanes in the manner that they have, as we see the score there, Roth leading by 11 pins. Tighter means that the lane is slicker. The ball doesn't want to bite the lane. It skids further down the lane and doesn't really grab going into the pins. That one bit the lane. It grabbed, and you saw the result.
Mark Roth still leads by 11, back to Tom Milton. Roth, though, 3 strikes in the first 4 frames with the spare. Milton now 2 spares and a strike.
Mark looking on. Again, no defense in bowling.
Nope. He still has a little trouble with his hand, his bowling hand.
Well, the way he throws the ball and what he twists on it, it's no wonder. And trips the 4 pin out. There's that soft speed. He just looked like he kind of just dumped that ball out on the lane, and it almost rolled out at the pins, and that 2 pin tripped that 4 right out. Watch, he kind of just dumps this ball. Boom. Watch the 2 pin. To the left. Goes to the wall and just nudges the 4 pin out. That's the advantage of that soft speed. If you threw that ball harder, that 2 pin would have a tendency to fly right around that 4.
Now, Tom wears that wetsuit type sleeve over his right elbow. He's got a pinched nerve there. From time to time, it gives him problems.
Not going to make it.
Well, that one never bit at all.
Right. You could see that one just slide down the lane. As you say, it never bit the lane at all. Never. The ball never really turned over and went into a roll. Slides by, leaves the 1-2-8. Relatively easy spare.
And you don't have to be here to know that. Even sitting at home, I mean, a professional like Tom Milton just doesn't throw a ball that plows through the pack like that one does.
No. But right now, if he misses his target just a little bit to the right, it never makes it back. He's used to that big hook ball where he can throw it right of target and have it come roaring back, but it doesn't do it here. He converts the 1-2-8.
All right, so Tom Milton marks. We're midway through game 1 in the inaugural PBA Touring Players Championship. Back to Artie. When he's in a tight situation, he'll go for it. From Brooklyn, New York, he's the alternate, finishing 6th.
Have you ever seen him hit a golf ball?
No, but we have plans to.
Oh, you're in for a treat. He can really smack those drives when he gets a hold of them.
And now Mark Roth, leading by 4 pins, 5th frame.
On a strike. Can increase it to 14. Nice shot. Mark playing right around the 7th or 8th board, right in that area, between the 1st and 2nd arrow. And the ball not hooking very much at all. Not hooking much at all. See? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 this time.
There is not much very orthodox about that.
It's amazing. One time you take 6, the next time 7. He gets up there and just chugs up there and makes it all come out right there, though. Good shot. Could have carried 4 pin. See the difference of that speed? He left that 4 pin where Milton, with that softer speed, tripped it out. The advantage of more speed is it's easier to hit the pocket time after time. The disadvantage is the softer speed, you get the better carry, but it's a little bit harder to get the ball in the 1-3 pocket.
Well, you know, more speed, more power. It seems to be the American way. You know, belt it out of the park, smash the heck out of it.
That's what the PBA office keeps telling me.
In contrast, Tom Milton's strokes almost seem like they're in slow motion. 13-pin lead for Mark Roth as he takes a seat. Tom Milton back now.
Milton still in the game.
Didn't come out on the tour till he was 23. Bowled a 300 game this week.
It's going high. Breaks out the 10-pin, leaves only the 4-7. Had the 4-7-10 up there for a second. Broke it down. Again, he's just lost. He's really only had 2 balls in the pocket. He got them back to back and got strikes on him. He's losing count. He's down to 103 in the 5th right now. Lost 7 pins in count. Cross lane at the 4-7. Has the spare.
Mike, what I don't understand is 20 minutes or so before the bowling begins, the bowlers sit down, whereas from time to time we'll see them practice almost right up until our show or the show inside the bowling center begins. It is a 15-pin lead for Mark Roth as we see the score. Why, if a bowler is confused as to the conditions and unsure of whether he can hit left on the right lane or whatever, why doesn't he keep practicing as long as he can?
Well, Milton did keep practicing as long as he could. He was a little bit lost. It may be that they don't want to carry the oil further down the lane, and they would feel compound the problem that's out there already as Milton leaves a 4-pin. Right now, it seems to be that the problem, the lanes are so slick and getting slicker as they bowl in because the bowling balls are carrying the dressing down the lane. Tom, very upright. Watch the knee bend, right in balance. And the 2-pin will fly over the 4 this time, where he tripped it back there in the 4th frame. In the 7th frame here, he leaves it. Personally, though, my style would be, if I'm lost, I keep practicing right up to the last second. In fact, on one show where I happened to win, if he converts the 4-pin, the telecast got delayed for 10 or 15 minutes, and I had been lost, and during that 10 or 15 minutes, I found something and wound up winning 4 games and winning the tournament. So
Roth by 16. Boy, his earnings are unbelievable. $862,000.
And that's just how he did it right there. That's as straight as I've ever seen Mark Roth throw a bowling ball right there. He just very little hook at all. But just at the right place, right at the back end. He's getting the ball to go a long way down the lane and make a little turn at the back end. And where everybody else is having trouble hitting the pocket, he's got it down pretty well.
Still reads as a 16-pin lead as Roth bowls in the 8th frame. Mark, really a cable fanatic, boy. Every time I see him, he's updating me on everything that's happening in cable television.
A little bit too hard that time. Just too much speed. Leaves the 2-pin. Easy spare. Right here, he gets the top of the swing and just pulls it through harder than he normally does. It doesn't bite there. Skids on by. Breaks down the bucket for only the 2-pin. That's another advantage of today's light pin that has 2 voids in it. It comes off that wall, and you break down that 2, 4, 5, 8 a lot of times for simply a simple spare like the 2-pin. Converts it.
Funny you should say that. The last event we did was the Seniors Classic. I took one of the bowling pins. I had Dick Weber sign it for a souvenir to take back home. And he said, he saw me put it in my luggage, and he said, boy, if we were using the old pins, you wouldn't be doing that. All right, here's Tom Milton down by 16 in the 8th on the right lane, which has given him problems.
And Tom needs to get something going here if he wants to win this first game, which I know he does. He's right there. Pretty shot. Pretty shot. Right now, Tom Milton was the leader of several rounds of the tournament. He's bowled well all week. He's bowled 56 games. This is his 57th game as we see a replay from right behind him. See how square his game is and a good follow through. Ball goes out to about the 12th board, comes back solid in the 1-3 pocket. But what I'm getting to is this shot right here is the most important one that Tom Milton's made all week right now. He must strike here in the 9th frame, not only to cut that 16-pin lead to 6, but to set himself up for the 10th frame. He knows it. He whiffed a head pin back in the 5th frame and left a 4-pin in the 7th. He's got a chance. And a pretty shot. Boy, did he come through under the pressure. He took a little extra time this time and just really responded to the pressure. Look at that concentration. He knows it's there. He's running it out. He doesn't run out strikes very often. All right, he says.
He really needed that. Trimmed the lead of Mark Roth to 6.
Mark comes right by. The ball skids by again, breaks the dinner bucket down for only the 2-pin again. But right now, Roth's lead is down to 5 pins, and he cannot shut out Tom Milton. If Mark would convert this 2-pin and strike out, he would bowl 227. Tom Milton is still potential 232.
Mark Roth's year has seen 2 championship round appearances as we look at his grip.
See him screw that hand in there. It takes very little time. Twist it as he lets it go. See that ball spinning as it goes down the lane?
Almost with a vengeance, he throws it down the lane.
He came out several years ago, many of them, 13 years ago, and had that style. And for the first 3 or 4 years of his career, he did very little. As we see the scoreboard there, 177 in the 8th frame with a spare up in the 9th, and 142 in the 7th with a double working. The difference, 5 pins. Very little time. Good shot, good shot. And gets a love tap on the 10. Just what he was looking for. Milton kind of scratches his ear. Mark knows it's in the pocket, but he doesn't know if it's going to carry. He's watching it. All right. Break, he says.
And as the pin bounced off, I looked down and reminded myself he is from Wall Township, New Jersey.
None of us would get too many strikes without those sidewalls. Needs this one. He threw it out wide. He's not going to make it. Leaves the 1, 2, 8, 10. What it's going to boil down to is Tom Milton is going to need the first strike in the 10th frame to be a winner. If Mark converts the washout, he would maintain his 5-pin lead. Finish with 217. 9 out would give him 216. Force Milton to strike and get a good count. 9 out, he finishes with 216.
Well, Mark will be the first one to tell you he has lost a little of his bowling enthusiasm, but once he comes out to bowl, he comes out to bowl.
He's still a competitor. What it boils down to here is that Milton needs the first strike here, 5 pins and a spare. Threw the 1s and 8s and 9s so well. Big shot for him here. Gave it a lot of room. Oh, what a break! The 4, 5 both were standing, and they both fell. That gives him 172 in the 8th frame, a double working. Now he needs 5 pins and a spare.
Now, how would you react if this happened?
Thankful is how I would react. I mean, and he is too. He just didn't know where that 4-pin was going to fall. It looked like the 4-pin was going to stand. Right now, he just wants to get a decent count. If he hits the pocket, he knows that he'll get a good enough count. He's going high and smushes him off of it. So what we anticipated to be a low-scoring match turns out to be 230 to 210. Tom Milton, who was lost in practice, suddenly now finds himself the winner of the first game.
Well, it's a real tribute to these two bowlers. Tremendously confused at the start to come back and finish with the scores that they did.
There he finishes 231. And what's interesting was that last year Tom Milton needed the first strike in the 10th frame to beat Mark Roth with the title on lane 20.
Well, last year Mark Roth was the man in Limerick. This year it's not to be. Tom Milton 231, Mark Roth 216. Tom Milton moves on and he'll be bowling in game 2. His opponent, Steve Wonderlick, looking for PBA title number 1. Beckman will now face Steve Wonderlick, 25 years old, from St. Louis, Missouri. Now, when you talk to Steve Wonderlick, he'll tell you Nelson Burton Jr. helps him tune up his game. And where do they do it? At Dick Weber Lanes in St. Louis, Missouri. Steve, so far this year, 30th on the money-winning list at $34,939. He's been a PBA member for 4 years. And really, his bowling goal is very, very simple, to win a title. You can see his finger there taped up. He has a little bit of a problem. He tells me that that's a problem for a lot of bowlers. So we'll talk to him about that and a whole lot more in an interview that we taped earlier. Steve
Woman has trouble with that sometimes, Tom Baker, and they get a big callus right underneath that index finger, right on the palm of their hand there. You can see that mine's absolutely clean there. I don't have a problem in that area. Wonderlick playing the extreme outside angle with his ball going steady with the channel. And he starts with a strike.
Steve had a good week, averaged 219, and also threw a perfect game.
And he has a almost flawless game. The ball right in time, follow through straight up, in balance, left arm out. Very square delivery, good young player.
So both of these bowlers, perfect games this week. I don't know that that's ever happened on our USA telecast before.
Well, they're both very square players and in balance. And Milton seems to have found the range. Starts right out with a strike. The lanes are really tight because Tom throws this gigantic hook and the ball's hardly hooking at all. Steve Wonderlick forgot his tape. Steve Cook just tossed it over gently, and Mike Collins, who's one of our player reps out here, caught it, gave it to Steve Wonderlick.
Tom is taking no chances after all the slipping and sliding his ball did in game one. He is wiping that ball down very carefully.
Well, there's a lot of dressing on the lane. You want to get it off there because you're afraid it might get on your hand, Alan. If it gets on your hand, then you might drop the ball. All kinds of bad things can happen then. Give him more room. And there's the 1-2-4-10, the washout. Just swings it a little bit on that left lane, and it won't make it back for him. Wonderlick's taking that ball off the rack and putting something in the thumb hole, piece of tape. See, he gives it just a little more room there, and it's gone right there. It's not going to make it back. It's no loss in count, though, because he was on a strike. If he can convert the spare, it's no different than if he left a single pin spare. He wants to hit to the left of the head pin and drive it into the 10. He's got a chance. Didn't quite get over enough. Close, but not quite enough as he shakes his head coming back. Mumbles to himself. I know the feeling.
Now back to Steve Wonderlick from the city with the Gateway Arch.
Wonderlick can take a 22-pin lead with a strike here. Right behind it, see that index finger spread way out. He's got a lot of weight on that, especially as he comes through the ball, right off the edge here. And he's a little high, and it sets. Lee almost thought he was going to leave a 4-pin, but the ball set at the pocket. 22 pins ahead, just like that. But from the angle he's playing, one half a board mistake right, and you're in big trouble. There's Steve's lovely wife, Cindy, all decked out. Isn't that a lovely dress she has on? Just grand, as they say in Britain. Good shot. Pretty ball.
Nicely done by Steve Wonderlick.
Shot. Was. Gets it way out over the foul line here. The ball starts breaking right now. It is just dead solid there. Really puts the heat on Milton now. He's down 32 pins, and he's hardly had time to wipe the oil off his ball.
Yep.
A little high, breaks up the 6, 7, 10, leaves only the 6-pin.
Should point out, if Mike sounds a little bit English tonight, he is still recovering from his long journey to the United Kingdom, where the PBA ventured during the 6-week layoff. Mike losing in the final to the Swede.
Mats Carlsen.
Mats Carlsen. First time that a foreigner has won a PBA event, correct?
I believe so. I believe so. Converts the 6-pin. They had a grand time over there.
Yes. Nice of you to be so benevolent, too.
I wasn't trying to be benevolent. I was trying to win.
32-pin lead for Tom Milton. And we saw that look on Steve Wonderlick's face before.
There we see 28 in the second, with only a spare working in the third. Wonderlick perfect through 3 frames, 30 in the first. See, bowling, keeping score in bowling is easy if you throw strikes. It's just 30 every frame. It's just nothing to it.
I think I said a 32-pin lead for Tom Milton. Other way around, obviously.
On the left lane. Back in the pocket. Pretty shot. When he hits that target, boy, he gets a good reaction. It's just that when he swings it aboard wide, it's gone. See the difference here? The ball's just a little bit further left. You can see right there. And it's just dead flush in there. All 10 pins in the pit.
See, Steve Wonderlick doesn't know it right now, but he is bowling under a tremendous handicap. And depending on what happens here tonight, we'll let you know what that handicap is.
32 pins in front can increase it to 42. Little light. And same type of hit that Milton carried to defeat Roth, and he leaves the 4-pin. Easy spare, though.
Boy, does he come close to the channel.
Yep, that is his favorite angle, by the way. Steve Wonderlick loves that extreme outside angle, as I do, and he plays it very well. Cross lane at the 4-pin. Has the spare easily.
That open frame really hurt Milton.
Interesting, Wonderlick made a change in strategy right at just before the start of the match. He has the choice of what lane he was going to finish on. He was going to finish on the right lane and switched it, or he was going to finish on the left lane rather, and he switched it at the last minute to finish on the right lane. On lane 19, 5th frame, top, and doesn't break up the split, leaves the 6, 7, 10.
I was all about to say that there's plenty of time for Tom Milton to turn around this match, and there it is.
Well, Milton goes through the nose and leaves only the 6-pin. Wonderlick goes through there and leaves the 6, 7, 10. Sometimes in one game match, a shot like that makes all the difference.
So even now the key would be
Steve's really going to go for this. He's counting the boards, and in a one-game match, he's going to give it a shot and try and convert this split. Ooh, and he almost had it. He just slipped by that 6-pin. 8 out. Suddenly that lead is down to 15 pins. 104 in the 5th.
And now it's up to Tom Milton. Whether he can jump all over that opening that Steve Wonderlick has given him in the 5th frame remains to be seen. Back to Limerick, Pennsylvania, and the PBA on USA in a moment. Steve Wonderlick was quick to get out of the gate, but now all of a sudden in the backstretch, Tom Milton is catching up.
Well, he can really cut it close. He's down by 16 pins, can cut it to 6 with a double here on lane 20. This seems to have been his favorite of the 2 lanes so far.
Boy, it can get quiet at the Limerick Bowl.
Looks good. Pretty shot. Pretty shot. Just that. Right down to 16 pins. Can take the lead if he can strike on lane 19 now. It's amazing how quickly he can turn around. See how square his game is? Left arm out for balance, and the follow-through goes right out to the right. Puts that lift on the ball. Bam. He was 32 pins down in the 4th frame. And now as we enter the 6th, if he strikes there, he's in the lead.
Well, that was the key. I mean, that's where we left off as we went to the commercial break. You know, everybody gets a break now and then. It's how you take advantage of it that matters.
Well, he certainly jumped on that one. So often when a player opens on the PBA tour, his opponent comes right back with that double. That's why these guys are the world's best. A lot of time.
Down by 6.
Leaves the 4-pin just a hair tight. He's playing a tight line, which is, I'm sure he's not used to. He doesn't do all the time, as he usually throws that big hook. Just a hair tight. Leaves the 4-pin. Keeps Wonderlick in the lead by 7 pins. We've got a very tight match here. Cross lane at the 4-pin. Has the spare. Wonderlick needs to regain that composure that he was talking about. Burton was working with him on that mental approach. Get his composure back together and start making good shots again. He's got the line. When he makes the shot, the result happens that he wants.
Very similar to the first game. Roth got off to a quick start. Milton settled down, came back, finished strong. Here it was Wonderlick starting with 3 strikes, and now after an empty frame and a spare in the 4th, he strikes again in the 6th.
It appears that the right lane, lane 20, holds pocket for Steve. In the left lane, I think he has to hooks a board more for him, it appears. I didn't ask him, but it appears so. There's the difference, 104 to 97. Wonderlick working on a strike, 7 pins ahead. Can increase it to 17 if he doubles here. Gave us some more room, and he likes it. And he gets the 10 pin out of there. Remember, when you see that 6 late come up and get that 10, you know that the player had good finger lift on the ball.
Let's watch it here. Let's watch that 6 pin.
He knows it. He's running it out. Now watch that 6. Goes off, comes up out of the channel. He went off there so softly and still came out and got that 10. I can just hear my coach in California, Bill Taylor, screaming about those Tinker Toy pins, as he says. Milton on lane 20. High, crosses over, leaves the 6 pin.
I thought he was going to get lucky.
Looked like he was.
Yep, I thought he was going to come way high, almost to Brooklyn, and I thought he still had a chance to strike.
From the look on his face, he was greatly surprised that that ball went that far left. Which means that he's going to have to throw another shot on that lane in the 9th frame, make some kind of an adjustment. As it is, he's 18 pins down, converts this in the 7th frame, be working on a spare. Cross lane at the 6 pin, has the spare. And we're getting down to the nail biting time. 8th frame action now. And he wants a re-rack on lane 19.
You better not start biting your nails. There's not much left.
I clipped them all off.
There's the re-rack for Tom Milton on the left of the 2 lanes.
Interesting. We have very few re-racks so far in 2 games here compared to, where was it, Buffalo, that we had so many?
Oh boy, yeah. They have the flags of the champions that hang above each of the lanes. Milton is bowling on the lane which has his banner. You can see it there.
Looks good. And 7 pin doesn't go. Came up light. Falls another pin behind.
Mike, is this the penalty or one of the penalties for throwing a softer ball than, say, a Mark Roth does? Does he not get the action that another
No, he
ball?
gets the action here. That pins are bouncing all over the place. Just didn't quite hit that 7 pin. Now, the penalty for throwing the ball slower like that is it's harder to get it in the 1-3 pocket. But generally, your carry is better with that slower speed. If the ball's alive, which Milton's ball is.
Still a 19-pin lead.
And right now, Wonderlick has the opportunities he gets up here to put his opponent away. He's got him down, and he can put him away as Cindy's in the background there. She knows the score. Hardly looking. She's concentrating as hard as he is. This lane holds for him, and he threw it well. Pretty shot. Boy, you can't throw it any better than that.
Now, just look at what happened at what could have been the turning point of this match. It was in the 5th frame when Wonderlick left it open. He came back now with a triple while Milton followed with a strike and then 3 spares.
See how this ball holds for him all the way. It was almost left an 8 pin. That 8 pin was up there for just a split second.
And that's what I'm talking about. See the open frame for Wonderlick in the 5th, then 3 strikes. And at that point, Milton came back and struck, but then just didn't close it out the way he could have.
Well, he hit the pocket in the 6th frame, and then he lost it the next 2 frames. Although he was light in the pocket in the 8th frame. 29 pins ahead. Can really slam the door shut with one here. He's light, and it comes out, oh, and he leaves what is known as a swishing 4-pin and says, thanks. Sarcastically, he says, thanks. He knows it's going to get up there. I didn't know where they made. He says, come on. Now watch him. Makes a little, see the...
Not okay.
Not okay, right? It's kind of the universal symbol on the PBA Tour when something goes wrong. All the players do that.
That's the symbol?
That's one of them. That's one you can get away with. Converts the 4-pin, stays in the lead by 28 pins. Right now, Tom Milton must strike out. He can strike out for a potential 215 and force Wonderlick to mark. Gives it a little more room. It's not going to make it. Leaves the 2-pin. And unless something disastrous happens from that angle that Wonderlick is playing, he's going to be the winner of our second game.
I can understand his confusion. Last ball he threw almost made a left turn as it came in. This one didn't break at all. Went straight on through.
That's exactly what he's saying right now. One little left, and it goes Brooklyn, and throw it out of board, and leaves the 2-pin. At the 2-pin, easy spare. Has it. The best Tom can get if he gets all 3 strikes in the 10th frame is 204. And right now, Steve Wonderlick, if he strikes spares in the 10th frame, is going at a 223 pace. Steve would have to dip one in the channel to lose. You see the score there, 183 in the 8th with a spare up to 154, 29 pin difference. Both players working on spares. There's the one he was looking for, the wall shot. Head pin goes to the wall and cleans out the 4-5-7. But I'm afraid it's going to be a little bit too little too late. It'll be interesting if he does strike out to see if Wonderlick moves in closer to the center of the lane just to finish out the 10th frame. That's what I would do. Get it in there closer to the second arrow with flirting with that channel. Solid 10-pin. It's going to finish with 194, which means Wonderlick will need 1 pin on 2 balls.
I think he can handle that.
I think you can handle that.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Tom's going to pick up, what, $4,500?
Yep.
To add to his $88,000, put him close to the $93,000 mark as he creeps up toward that $100,000 mark. I know last year I was battling to get up there, never did quite make it. And I'm sure that's one of his goals, is to get over that $100,000 mark.
Well, just a confusing puzzle on these 2 lanes for Tom Milton, and he could not put the pieces together. Still a good week for him, though.
But no confusion for Wonderlick. He's got the pairs zeroed in, especially this right lane. Bam! Right in there again. I could see why he switched at the last minute and chose to finish on this right lane. He just really has it zeroed.
Steve's wife, Cindy. Mike likes her dress so much he can probably now buy another one.
Well, they're not thinking of the dress or anything else right now. What they're thinking of is winning 2 more games to win that first PBA title. As Steve changes his angle here, he's going to practice a little bit right now. Moves into the second arrow and leaves a 4-9.
I think you better stick with the other method.
Yeah, right. He says, I'm going back.
Milton still smiling. Good sport.
Tom's an easygoing guy. Nothing seems to ruffle him, or he seems unflappable at all times. The pressure doesn't bother him at all.
Very laid back. He's been to the winner's circle 3 times this year. Last ball of the match. Why not?
Yes! And he makes the 4-9. Gives the fans a show.
Great finish by Steve Wonderlick. 223. Milton 194. Wonderlick's thinking one thing. I want to win that title. But first, he better get by Mark Fehee, who's standing by for the next game. We'll get to that in a moment. On PBA money list, $47,000 on the year. And he seemed to be throwing the ball well in practice.
Steve Cook says that Mark has the best shot of any of the 5 players today. Although I'll still go with my pick. Solid for it. Boy, good speed and lift. Very muscle player. Now watch the cupped wrist at the top of the swing with him too. The whole arm cups up there, snaps it through. He's so strong as he comes through the ball there. Whew. I'd like to meet him in a dark alley.
Well,
He was a Golden Gloves champ too.
As long as he's a friend of mine, I'll meet him anywhere he wants.
Right.
Mark's had a good week, not averaging as high as Steve Wonderlick. As a matter of fact, about 2 pins less, but still good enough to finish second.
And Steve takes a re-rack on lane 20. Mark did a smart thing here in making Steve finish on lane 19.
Which is the left of the 2 lanes.
Right. He wants another re-rack. He's allowed 3. Taking 2 right here in the first frame, highly unusual. It indicates that he's probably just a little bit apprehensive. Wants to get out of the gate really quick against Mark. Get out of the gate with that double. Got to take them one at a time as the pins are taking their time getting into the machine. Finally, they're there. I don't think he likes this one either, but he's going to shoot it. Steve using a urethane bowling ball. And pick the right rack. Of course, you hit him right there. They're going to go down almost on any rack.
Right where he left off in the last game.
See how square he is? Right out almost on that first board, maybe 1.5. He's probably looking at the crack between 1 and 2. That is really outside. They talk about the first baseman hugging the foul line in the late innings of a baseball game. Well, right behind the ball. Weight in both of the hands there. And gets that 10 pin out of there. Pretty shot. That's what he wanted to do. Put the pressure on Fehee right away.
Steve Wonderlick seems to have solved the left and the right lane now to Mark Fehee, who all of a sudden leads, or trails rather, by 10 pins back to Wonderlick.
It appears he's circling the ball a little bit more on this lane. He hooks a little bit more, and he makes a perfect shot and gets a good reaction on that 6 pin, tapping out the 10. Mark playing closer to the second arrow, and bam! He grinches those teeth. Don't want him grinching those teeth against me, I'll tell you. From right behind there, well out on the lane, good follow through. Pow! What he wants to do here, though, is stay right with Wonderlick. Spreads that index finger out just like the rest of the players here. Look at that cupped wrist underneath that ball. Here it comes light and leaves the 258. He was just a little high, left the 4 pin. He might have moved a half a board left and leaves the 258. Has a tough spare. This was really a difficult spare all week long because the lanes were so slick. It was easy to slide by. Then you'd make the adjustment, point out a little bit more, and you'd chop the 2 off the 5. Very little time. Shooting it from the left and misses. The ball hooked right in the middle of the lane. He shot it down the 4th arrow, and he's given a golden opportunity to Mr. Wonderlick. See, he shoots it right down the middle of the lane here over the 4th arrow, and it hooks right now, and it's gone. No chance. 8 out. He's 24 pins behind. Wonderlick on his favorite lane can increase it to 34. He's right there. Pretty shot. Beauty. That's taking advantage right there.
Wonderlick's lead now 24. Back again to take a look.
See that good follow through right at the pocket. Ball turning like crazy. Increases it from 24 to 34.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. Steve pacing himself very well here. He knows that he's got as good an opportunity to win his first title as he's ever had. Wins this game, he gets into the championship match. And it's high, high. Breaks the split up this time. Puts his hands out as safe. Just turned that ball a little early. It's a little bit more difficult shot on lane 19 for him. The ball won't hold. Leaves the 3-6-10.
Well, he'll take a relatively easy spare. The last thing he wants is a split, which is the opening he almost gave Tom Milton in the last game.
Changes balls to a ball that goes straighter cross lane. 3-6-10. Not the easiest of spares. And a bug. He grabbed a bug. A little gnat or something out there. Flew right in front of his eyes as he started. Very big spare right here for him. He just does not want to give Fehee an opening. Don't let him up. And he did it. It slid right by, and he takes the 6-10 and leaves the 3-pin.
Well, that'll bug him all right.
Cuts that. This ball is a new ball and doesn't bite the lane and just keeps spinning here. He keeps waiting and says hook, and it doesn't. Takes the 6-10 right out. You got to hit that lead pin or you can't make that spare.
I noticed Steve had a gouge or a little space dug out of his ball or the surface of the ball. It looked like to me. Is that something that you noticed, or was I seeing that? There's the exact same.
Fehee goes right up there and leaves the 3-6-10. Well, it might have been there. We have a might have been a weight hole that sometimes we have a hole in the side of the bowling ball that takes weight out of one side, thereby puts it in the other and causes the ball to break either earlier or later on the lane. Or it could have been, was it above the finger holes?
I'd have to see it again.
The PBA puts what they call a mill hole in every bowling ball. As Fehee misses the 3-6-10 on the other side, so it's tit for tat right here. They gave it right back. Fehee has missed 2 spares back to back, and suddenly Wonderlick is really back in commanding position again. But the PBA puts a small hole above the finger holes called a mill hole, and they have an instrument called a durometer where they can measure the inside hardness of the ball and the outside hardness, and thereby check whether I'm soaking my bowling ball or not. There's Wonderlick smiling. He knows he's still doesn't like to miss spares. None of us want to miss spares. His mark gives it too much room, leaves the 1-2-4-10, and suddenly he's totally lost. He just has to make this spare to get himself to have a chance in this match. If he misses this, he's going to have 63 in the 5th, and he'll be down 42 pins. Has a chance, and right around it. What a bad break, and that's exactly what he's got. 63 in the 5th. He's down 42 pins. He's opened 3 frames in a row. A disastrous beginning.
Slams the towel down in disgust. Well, that last attempt was about as close as you can get. We're at the midway point of a game that could send Steve Wonderlick into the championship match for Pennsylvania. Steve Wonderlick leaving an open frame in the 4th, but Mark Fehee leaving the 3rd, 4th, and 5th frame open. And that means Steve Wonderlick is still firmly in control. 42 pins in control.
On his favorite lane, lane 20. Sends it right up at the pocket. Bam. I'll tell you what, nobody'd have a chance. He may win this tournament anyway, but nobody'd have a chance if both lanes were like 20. He opened in the 5th frame of the last game and came back with a turkey after that. He's opened in the 4th frame here, and that's exactly what he wants to do. As we see Fehee with 3 straight opens, 63 in the 5th. Wonderlick with 85 in the 4th with a strike up in the 5th. 42 pins ahead, can increase it to 52. This is his more difficult of the 2 lanes. Gives it more room. Pretty shot.
I was watching Steve after he threw that ball. He had a moment of hesitation and then all of a sudden realized it was going to bang right in there.
Well, he gives it good loft, a little more room, and right here it just sets up. Bang! Sometimes it gets to that point and it hooks more. But at that point, he could see that it was setting. Fehee back in the pocket, trips the 4-pin out. And he's in the position he has to strike. I mean, he has to strike out. He can strike out for what, 213, I believe, is the best he can get if he goes all the way. And right now, Steve Wonderlick is going at a 215 pace. So he's in a bad position, that's for certain. Gives it more room. And carries. A better shot. Shakes his head, says, that's better. Keeps himself alive. Keeps himself alive. Right around the second arrow. 9th board, maybe. And watch the 6-pin snap out and get that 10. Again, good lift with the fingers.
Let's see if Wonderlick can maintain the pace, working on a double.
Oh, he gave it more room and swishes it out. Boy, it came right back off the first board that time. His shot is getting better, especially on this right lane. He's making good shots, but his shot on the lane, the ball reaction is getting better. Watch it from behind. It's right out on that first board, and here it comes. That's why we love that angle. See that ball tilt off that first board, come flying back. 115 in the 5th, double working. 63 in the 5th with a double working. The difference, 52 pins. Something disturbs Steve. Gives it a lot of room. A little more speed, not the lift. 2, 4, 8. So far, he's 52 pins in the lead, and he hasn't made a spare in this game. So he switches balls again, uses the ball that goes straighter to shoot at the spare. Interesting.
If only Steve knew what odds he was trying to buck in winning here. We'll be telling you why later.
Straight at the 2, 4, 8. Has the spare. Nice conversion. Keeps himself 49 pins ahead. And again, Fehee's not dead yet, but he is in a definite must-strike situation. Every one from now on out. Little light. Gets the wall shot. Keeps himself barely alive. Again, he's potential 213 if he strikes it all the way out. He's got 3 in a row. 9th frame, he has to have this one.
Mike, Mark's idol at one point was Mark Roth, and we also saw Mark tonight. Do you see any Mark Roth in Mark Fehee?
Not really. Not in styles. They're both power players and cupped wrist players, that type of thing. But certainly no similarity in their styles. Looks good. Looks a good shot. Trips the 4-pin either, keeps himself alive. What he has done now has forced Steve Wonderlick to mark the 9th and 10th frames in order to lock this up. Here it comes. Watch the 2-pin. Go to the wall, come back, and get the 4 and the 7, both of them. Steve has to mark these last 2 frames now, where it was a cakewalk. It's down to 29 pins now. It's amazing what a few strikes will do. There it is, right there. Right there. That ensures him of forcing Fehee to strike out even if he opens. Just a pretty shot he makes on this right lane here. Right over the second board. Just dead flush in the 1-3 pocket. He's just drilling that lane every time. There we see a 182 in the 8th, strike up to 123 in the 7th with a double working. Fehee is potential 213. If Steve would spare strike in the 10th frame, he finished with 222. So any kind of spare strike on this ball will win it for him. Looks good. Great shot. Great reaction to pressure. He goes to the championship match. And Mark is just disappointed. Those 3 disastrous frames, the 2nd, 3rd, and the 3rd, 4th, and 5th frames. If he just had spares there, we'd really have a tight match. See if Steve, yes he is. He's moving inside on this one. He doesn't want to take a chance of dipping one in the channel. He's got the game won. Just keep the ball in the lane. And strikes anyway.
Works from there, too.
One more, and he's going to finish with 242.
Well, he does come awfully close to the channel, that's for sure. Wonderlick last.
223 the first game, 242 this game. He'll be over a 230 average for the 2 games, bowling very well. 7 strikes in the first game, and he's got 9 in this game. Can finish with 10 if he gets one more, which he doesn't. He finishes with 9, 16 strikes for the 2 games, averaging 8 a game. Finishes 240 even.
21 pins, better than his average this week. He's 10 frames away from his first title.
Mark finishing it out. Comes in light, leaves the 258. And if he makes it in strikes, he can finish with a respectable 190, which was a lot better than it looked in the 5th frame, but it's still going to be a loss for him. He's going to wind up 3rd in the tournament. And I know he's disappointed. This is the spare that led to his downfall right here. Now he makes it.
Well, so now he knows what it's like to win in the championship round and lose in it. He'll be 1-1 in championship round appearances. And
Steve's concentrating on this next game. I think he's got enough experience now to know that, you know, it's not over yet. This is his best opportunity he's probably ever had. Finishes with 186. So Wonderlick defeats one 225-pounder. Now he gets a 270-pounder coming up next.
And that's Steve Cook. 240, 186, Wonderlick over Fehee. And we'll be back on USA for the championship match after these words on your TV record is 19-12. He has won 6 PBA titles. His average on television, I think, is very, very good. 215.6, when you say?
Excellent average, excellent average.
And it looks like we're finally set to go. Steve Cook will start on the left lane.
He gets 6 practice balls, Alan. He threw 5 of them on lane 19. And he's making Wonderlick finish on 19, which again is a smart move. Deep inside on the left lane here. Sends it out and gets a light scrambler. Talk about those pins dancing to get down. 5 steps, very smooth. Watch the cupped wrist at the top of the swing. Look at that. How do they do that? Then lifts through it as he comes down. Wow.
He's going to hit the ceiling tiles one day when he gets to the right center.
Oh, my goodness. So much power. Wonderlick on his favorite lane. Right back in there. Bam!
This could be a good one.
It all depends on how Steve Wonderlick, we have two Steves here, I just realized, hits this left lane. Right over the second board here. Points it up, and it just is dead flush again. He just thrown almost every shot on that lane that way. You can see why that's his favorite angle.
Yep. Steve Cook was 1 year old when the PBA got started 25 years ago. Steve Wonderlick just born about that time.
I was graduating from high school.
Yeah, well, you know, I didn't want to bring that up.
Cook holding his left hand out over that hand dryer. I wonder if Wonderlick can see it out of the corner of his eye. Pretty shot. Great shot to start the championship match with.
If he did see Steve Cook's hand.
He didn't see it. He absolutely did not see it. His concentration is excellent right now. He throws this ball just pure. I mean, absolutely pure. Bam. Cook is intimidated by no one.
It's pretty easy to see why.
Well, a bowling ball can still intimidate you, you know, even though you got that big body, the heart still beats inside. But he's playing outside on this lane, inside on the left lane. Sends it out. Here it comes. Oh,
Boy, does his ball make a turn,
oh, he is. When he sends it out like that, it comes flying back. It just sends shivers up and down the audience watching.
too. Watch this ball. It's going to go to the corner, make a right-hand turn.
Out there, almost to the second board or so, and here it comes. Those pins don't have a chance. I mean, not a chance. How are they going to stand up against that?
Well, 4 balls thrown by these 2 bowlers and 4 strikes.
4 pretty shots, too. Well, the first one Cook threw wasn't as... The last 3 had just been dynamite. What a move, though, to move in close to the 4th arrow on one lane and out around the 1st arrow on the other lane.
This is the first time that Wonderlick has gone to the championship match, and he's saying, why couldn't I get a guy who couldn't throw the ball just once?
Cook taking a lot of time, a lot of time. Here comes his light. It's not going to make it. Leaves the 1-3-7. He just gave it too much room. I think he was just worried about going high on this left lane and just sent it out the window. The way Wonderlick is bowling, this is a very important spare. He needs to convert this spare. He wants to go to the right of the head pin and send the head pin into the 7. Convert the washout. We did this on a tip a few weeks ago. Steve taking an awful lot of time. Every shot is just so important. And, oh, right around. What a bad break. The head pin wraps right around that 7. There's nothing that infuriates a bowler more than that, to convert that washout, and the head pin wraps right around that 7. Watch it. He goes right perfect, hits the head pin, and there it goes right around the 7.
Unbelievable. How close you can come and how frustrating it is when you come that close.
Wonderlick on his favorite lane, lane 20. He's 15 pins ahead, can increase it to 25. Gave him more room. First time he threw a bad shot on that lane, and he's mad at himself. He leaves the 2-4-8 and keeps Cook right in the match. Boy, he could have really put the hammer on him.
Mike, you and I have been talking about how close he's come to dumping it into the gutter. That one was half a board away.
Half a board away, right? One of the things about playing that angle, Alan, is that you have to be totally fearless of the channel. You cannot concern yourself with the channel, even if the ball goes in. Even if the ball goes in. And a tough spare makes it perfectly. Makes it perfectly. But he blew an opportunity there in his favorite lane to really jump out ahead. It's 12 pins now. Each player with 27 in the first, Wonderlick 47 in the second with a spare, Cook 55 and open in the 3rd frame. The difference, 12 pins. Boy, both players taking a lot of time. They really want this match. Wonderlick especially wants it. Out to the first board and gets it back. Out to that first board that time and got it back. This one was hanging over the edge too. Watch him. He bellies this one a little bit, and it's out there. Ooh, here it comes. And the head pin will go to the wall and clean them all out. See, that's one reason why I like that angle so much, is because your pocket can be so wide. Vicious carrying power. Cook likes it better, too, because he's picked to finish on lane 20, the lane that he's playing outside on.
Down by 12.
Here it comes. Ooh! Smacks those hands together.
I mean, he's almost making the 7 pin the head pin the way his ball comes in.
Huh? Well, that ball's making a right-hand turn, that's for certain. He can hook it as much as anybody on the PBA tour. And he's so smooth going to the line. Just so smooth. There we see the difference. 12 pins, both players working on a strike, 67 to 55. Going to the 5th frame.
Our thanks to Butch Soper, whose handwriting that is pretty neat, I must say, and to Mark Williams and Frank Ellenberg, who help us so often in bringing you the PBA on USA.
Cook can cut it to 2 pins if he can double here. Again, 19 seems to give me more trouble than 20. He moved outside. He moved outside and got the strike. He gave up on the inside angle. Amazing. In the middle of the game, he made that move. And got the double. 2 pin difference.
Well, we're at the midway point of what is proving to be a very tight and interesting championship match, and leading by 2 pins.
And he's working on a strike. This is his favorite lane. He missed it the last time. He must take advantage and hit his favorite lane now. He's got to. Tie. Just a hair tight. He was just a hair soft with the speed. Not much. Boy, twice in a row he misses his favorite lane, and he is upset. He's watching that target all the way. See that follow through, whistle through. He's saying, hold. Oh. Unmentionable. Cross lane at the 4-pin. Has a spare. And another opportunity goes by the boards in the 5th frame for Wonderlick. He only gets to bowl on lane 20 twice more this game.
Rubbing that ball down hard. And as Mike mentioned earlier, just keeping the oil off his hands and the ball as Steve Cook stares at the TV monitor and the scoreboard.
And puts his hand out over that hand dryer. Wonderlick on lane 19. Right there. 10 pin. It's a 1-pin game. Steve shook his head to say that that's about what he expected. Ball hit half pocket, just couldn't get that 10 pin out of there. He slams his towel down. He's a little bit disgusted. Sees it kind of slipping away from him. The opportunity to win that first title. No mistakes. Got to make the spare here. Make Cook work for everything. And holds on. He wasn't worried, but the rest of us are. Cook on his favorite lane, lane 20.
Not satisfied. Steve Cook has to be very satisfied right now with the way he responded after leaving the 3rd frame open.
Plus, with his carry, he's hit the pocket 4 times and gotten 4 strikes. Where Wonderlick has hit the pocket 5 times and only has 3 strikes. Sends it out. Here it comes. And that light hit again. He takes the lead by 9 pins. Boy, that ball just comes roaring in there, and those pins just fighting to get down.
And he was worried about that one. His body English carried him about 3 lanes to the left. Let's watch.
Well, he's running it that way because he knows it's going to be light. And he's saying, come on, ball, hook. And it just barely hit the head pin and got them all down. He takes a re-rack on lane 19.
Now, aside from the 1 open frame in the 3rd, Steve Cook is strike city, leading by 9 pins.
85 in the 4th with a double working to 106 in the 5th with a spare up. Can increase it to 19 if he can strike here on lane 19. It's not going to make it, and leaves the 3-7-9, and he puts it right back in Wonderlick's lap. This is almost an impossible spare. The only way you can make it is to fire at the 3-9. He just gives this one more room. He moved back outside again like he did the frame before on this lane, and it doesn't make it. You've got to fire at the 3-9 and hope it bounces around.
60 feet away. Here's the challenge.
Either that or throw a backup ball at it, which I don't think he'll do. I think he'll just fire it as hard as he can and hope it bounces out of there. And when Steve Cook wants to throw it as hard as he can, I imagine he can throw it pretty hard. And, nope. He's open. Gives the lead back to Wonderlick by 6 pins. And right now, it's feast or famine for Cook. It's either strike or open. Wonderlick going along at a 2:06 pace.
It's still very close.
6 pins, but has second life now. He could have been really in the hole if Cook struck on that ball. Trips the 4-pin out of there. Got a little bit high the last 2 straight times on lane 20. Maintains his 6-pin lead, can increase it to 16 if he can double. Watches that target, watches the ball go to the pocket, leans that hip a little bit to the left to try and say, hold the ball.
No problem. Piece of cake.
Right. He's talking to himself there. It's 3 frames to go. He's got to make 3 good shots. Right now, beginning right now. Make that execution. And he's high. He's going Brooklyn. Leaves the baby split. Is he going to break it up? No. Now, he missed the 3-6-10, remember, the last game. And he had his opportunity there. Boy, what a big shot that was. He just couldn't stay behind the ball long enough. Turned it early and was left of target. He's got to convert the 3-10 now. He missed the 3-6-10 by sliding by it on the right. So he's had practice at it on this lane. He should have some idea what the ball's going to do. Somebody coughed right in the middle of his approach, and he slides by again. Opens up, and it's back and forth. Nobody really wants to take charge. He gives it back to Cook by 6 pins.
I don't think somebody coughing had anything to do with that shot, do you?
No, I really don't. I don't think he heard it. He was deep in concentration. He just made a bad shot twice, the first ball and the second. But he's put Cook in a very commanding position. Right now, lane 19 is the bugaboo for both players, though. And it's that same, and we've seen that one a few times before. It looks like an instant replay every time as he keeps coming in that same place. He really lifts this one way out on the lane.
Great action on the pins.
Great action. Watch that hip, and he barely hits it again. And it goes to the wall and just splatters on the pins, just fighting to get down. But lane 19, this is the big shot. He can strike out for a potential 230, which would be an easy win. But he's 6 pins ahead. If he doesn't strike here, Wonderlick would be in the position, as we see the scoreboard there, 140 with a strike up to 154 in the 8th and open. But if he doesn't strike here, Wonderlick would be in a position to strike out and lock him out. Steve knows it. That's the one he wanted. Boy, he threw that one super. 16 pins ahead. Wonderlick has got to strike out. As he goes after a bug. He got it, too. He's picking it up now.
Now, watch Steve Cook. He loved it, and he had such a nervous reaction that he almost didn't want to sit down after he connected on that shot.
Well, he just knew how important that strike was. He was just so intense, and he threw it so super.
All right, Steve Wonderlick is through playing exterminator here in the 9th frame.
Well, he's got a much bigger bug to try and exterminate here with Cook than that little thing he just swatted off. Good shot. Oh, solid 10. What a bad break. He just threw it perfect. Now he's in the bad position. He's got to make this spare. He's down on a knee. He knows he's throwing it perfect. He's saying carry. And watch the right hand. Well, we don't get a chance, but he gets at the little circle again. He's got to make this spare and get 3 strikes in the 10th frame to make Cook mark on his favorite lane, so it doesn't look good for Wonderlick. Has the spare. Wonderlick, just as he relives this, if he loses this game, he's going to think back to that 8th frame. To me, the 3rd frame and the 8th frame were the key shots. He was on his favorite lane back in the 3rd frame and didn't make the good shot, and then had the chance to really put the pressure on Cook in the 8th frame and made a bad shot. But in a 1-game match, that's the difference difference between the champion or not. We see Cook with 140 and a double working, Wonderlick 154 and a spare up. Wonderlick potential 204. Has to have them all. And leaves the 4-pin, and that's going to be it. Cook is going to be your winner as long as he can keep it on the lane. Steve Wonderlick made good shots in the 9th and 10th frame. Neither one of them struck. And come so close and yet come away with 2nd place and not a victory. Makes that drive to Cleveland a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, I guess now we can point out that this was Mike Durbin's pick, and I feel really badly for Steve, and I don't want to make fun of it at all, but you haven't had one for 2 years, partner.
Well, nevertheless, he got awful close. He bowled very well.
It was one of the best finals we've had. It really was. Really close all the way through.
Finishes out with a 191.
What a dramatic turnaround for Wonderlick. That's 40 pins off his previous 2-game average of 231. Bowled a 223 and a 240. And here's the Cookie Monster in the 10th. He'll snap the string. Hasn't won in a year and a half.
Yeah, there he gets another strike. Cook never got a spare in the game. Right now he has 8 strikes, no spares. He can wind up with 10 strikes and shoot 230. One more time. Bam. 9 strikes. One more for 10 and 230. Cook's been a PBA member 6 years, and this will be his 7th title. He's now won the Firestone Tournament of Champions and the Tournament Players Championship. TFC and the TPC. And his first tap of the game.
And there are a lot of people that hope this tournament becomes as important as that Firestone Tournament of Champions.
A lot of trained players hope that.
One more ball to toss.
That's it. He's finished.
229, 191, the final score. Steve Cook wins the title here in Limerick, Pennsylvania, and we'll be back to give him $13,000 in a moment. Who has ended a long drought, almost a year and a half, and winning $13,000 here at the first Tournament Players Championship. Here to present him a check for $13,000 is Mr. Al Blau, who is the president of Limerick Bowl. Mr. Blau?
Steve, certainly my congratulations and certainly the best wishes from all of us here at Limerick. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the trophies, Steve, get prettier and prettier and more unique as we go along on the PBA Tour. Here is Mel Wingenroth, who's the general manager here, to give you the trophy.
Steve, we're sorry the trophy is right-handed and you're left-handed, but congratulations on your fine win.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Now, Mike, why don't you step in here? Steve, you had a couple of nervous moments. At a couple of points during that match, you must have wondered what else can go wrong.
Well, not really what else could go wrong. I don't know, I feel like I got real lucky today. I wasn't really sure of the lanes that much. I felt like I had the right lane down, but the left lane, I was really in trouble. And, you know, I got the breaks, and Steve didn't. He bowled good all week. You know, I really feel bad for him because I've been in the position before and lost, and it's not a good feeling. But he's a good bowler, and he's going to win.
Now, Mike, Steve made a switch in the middle there that surprised you a great deal.
Yeah, you started off playing the left lane deep inside, and you were playing the right lane outside, and you started off with a double, and then you left the washout in the 3rd frame. Next time you came back to that left lane, you made a big move left. Why did you do that?
Well, like I said, the left lane was giving me problems, and when I came over and threw my practice shots, I moved inside, and I was scoring pretty, you know, I felt like I was hitting the pocket pretty good. And then when I threw the washout, I just had it in the back of my mind that if I was going to make a mistake, I was so pumped up that I figured I was going to make it left. You know, I would throw a little wider, so I decided to go back to the outside and just, you know, as long as I stayed out on the left lane, it was okay. But if I didn't swing it, it hooked too much. So I just moved back and, you know, gave it all I had.
Well, Steve, congratulations. 7th PBA title, $13,000. Once again, the people of Limerick, Pennsylvania have been great hosts for the first Tournament Players Championship. That's the story from here. Good night, everybody.